Hello, and welcome to my tutorial series on how to make a 2D platformer in Unity. In this video, we'll be finishing up our wall climb, where we'll be able to bounce off a wall like this, and also be able to climb over a wall. And in addition, have a little bit of a wall slide to slow our character's speed like so. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. It helps support my content. Let's begin. So before we do the wall slide and wall jump, let's kind of recap where we're at. We've done a lot and this is a lot of code. So up here at the top, we created our speeds and our movements based on these floats up here. But more importantly, we created these vectors and these raycast hits. And we've done them for both the bottom of our character and the sides of our character. And that's why we separated them. Here are our... Actually, let's put up here, let's put up ground variables. That way we know the difference between these and these right here. So we did them for both when we're on the ground and when we're touching a wall. So let's go down here, and what we did is that when we're on the ground, we created these positions. And we defined them. We defined them using these parameters. And we did the same exact thing for our wall position based on whether or not we're touching the left or right. We created these wall ray positions and we turned them, or I'm sorry, we defined them using these coordinates right here. Then we took these positions that we defined and we placed them into these ray casts. Whether or not we were hitting left or right or up here, whether or not we were hitting the ground via the center ray, the left ray or right ray. Then we took these and we placed them into these checks. Actually, this right here should say on wall right. Otherwise, there'll be a problem later. So then we took these identifications of hitting it, and then we used it to check whether or not we were hitting the wall at all, and we turned that into a bool. Yes, we are hitting the wall, or no, we're not hitting the wall. And this seems a long way of doing it, but this creates our raycast and the precision we want. So with that, let's start on our wall slide. Let's put some action into our wall touching. So up here, actually, I'll create some space between these bools and our rigid body. I'm going to create another private bool, and I'm going to call it on ground. And I'm going to create another private bool, and I'm going to call it can move. And I'm going to set it equal to true. And this one, we don't really need it to say true anymore because we do that further below. Now below that, I'm going to create where I have my movement speed and my jump speed. I'm going to have a wall speed so that we have a speed into which we're going to slide down the wall. Our character is going to hit the wall. He's going to slide down it. And we want that to be a certain speed so that he kind of falls slowly. So now down here in our jump function, we're going to now add in an if not on ground. Go to the end, make some brackets. And inside of this, we're also going to ask the question, if we can move, go to the end, we're going to make some brackets for that. And inside of this, so if we're not on the ground and if we can move, which we can because that's true. I seem to have trouble with capital letters. So if we're not on the ground and if we can move, we want to say, or ask another question, if input dot get axis raw quotation marks, horizontal, and then outside of that, and less than 0, and on wall left. Then another set of brackets. All right, so if we're not on the ground and if we can move and if we're pushing our horizontal button to the left, which would either be A or the left arrow, and we are on wall left, which is our check for our check for touching the wall, then our RB dot velocity is going to equal a new vector 2, and that's going to be RB dot velocity dot x, comma, negative wall speed, and then a semicolon at the end. So if we're not on the ground and if we can move, and if we're pushing the left button or the left arrow, horizontal less than 0, and we are on wall left, then our velocity is going to be changed to whatever our x velocity is, and negative wall speed, which is down. Regular wall speed would be up. Negative in the y direction, negative wall speed would be down in that direction. And then down here, we're going to put an else if, and we're gonna actually, I'm just gonna copy this part right here because we just have to change a few things. Copy, Control V. So if input dot get access raw horizontal, and now it's going to be in the other direction, so it's to be greater than 0, and if on wall right, then brackets, then this is actually it's the same thing. Our velocity is just going to push us down. Copy and paste. Let's just check this out. That should be there. If can move, and then if and else if right there. So that should be good right there. Let's just create some room or take away so much space that we're not using there in this function. So now let's go ahead and hit save and see what this looks like. And so if yours says 0 like that, I'm here in my player, by the way. If yours says 0 like that, just change it to 3 because that's our wall speed right there. And let's go ahead and add, let's add some blocks here to the other side here. Let's add them right here for now so that we can show him touching both sides. So I'm going to go back to the game and hit play. So here's my raycast to the left and to the right. And now if I go and I jump, see how slow I fall now? As opposed to, I jump right down, I fall down. And now I can do it to the other side. And now I have a little bit of a wall slide to work with. So let's start wrapping this up by adding our wall jump. So right here, what I forgot to do was that I forgot to initiate the on ground, and that's going to equal to rayless check and all ray cast hits. At the end, a semicolon. So that's gonna basically define the on ground, and right underneath that, we'll just make a little adjustment. Can jump is going to equal to on ground, so that it runs through, it tells it it's on the ground, and then can jump is basically going to be defined by the same thing. So right down here where it says can jump, we're actually just going to get rid of that because we defined it up here. And then we're going to go down back to our jump function, and right here inside our if not on ground, we're going to put our wall jump. Give ourselves a little space here. And we're going to say if input dot get key down and key code dot space and over and on wall left brackets, and then so if we're pushing down our space bar and we're on wall left is basically what we're saying there. We're going to say rb dot velocity is going to equal a new vector 2, and that new vector 2 is going to be, oops, that's not what I wanted, lowercase j for jump speed. And just for now, we'll play with this. We'll times it by 0.5 f just to see how it looks. We can always change this up. And jump speed is going to be our y direction. So we want to kind of jump in the x direction and the y direction off the wall. Gonna take this right here. I'm gonna copy it right below it. Control V to paste it, and we're basically gonna fix it for the right hand side. Only over here it's going to be negative jump speed for the other side. And what we want is if we were to play this, what would happen is that there wouldn't be any time between our jumps, so it would not really jump off, it would kind of come straight up. So we want a little bit of a cooldown to put in. So we're going to put an I enumerator. We're going to call it wall jump cooldown, just like so, parentheses and brackets. And in here, we're going to put can move is going to be equal to false. So we're shutting off our can move just so we can give ourselves this little cooldown, yield return new wait for seconds. And for right now, let's make this a quarter of a second. Maybe we'll adjust that later also. Semicolon, and then we're gonna right after that turn can move back on. It's gonna equal to true. Just close that out. And so up here in our wall jump, we're going to activate this by putting start coroutine, and the coroutine is going to be wall jump cooldown right here. And that's how that's going to work. We're going to take this, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Let's just make it all look even. Let's just close this up a little bit. We're not using so much space. It really doesn't make a difference. It just makes it look neater to me. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go down here to our movement function. And we're going to put this into an if can move. So we're just going to wrap this all up together like so. So let me just look at everything I did here. I typed a lot and I tend to make mistakes if I type and I don't double check. I think I have everything here. All right, let's go see how this came together. So there are a few mistakes. We got a semicolon at the end of these two statements. Down here, I did not spell enumerator right. That's how it should spell or be spelled. And mine turned blue. Yours probably should also. And up here, let's go ahead. I don't know where I got rayless check from. It seems like I made that up. But we do have a ground check. And that's what we want there. Because that's running on ground is going through ground check, which is our function from a couple videos ago down here that we go to check the ground with. So let's hit save. Let's go here into Unity. And no errors this time. Let's go ahead and hit play. And let's see what happens. So he jumps off the wall. Now, actually, let's make this a little easier. Let's take if you take a camera and you just highlight it over your player like that, so where it becomes a child, your camera will follow it. We're gonna have a better looking camera follow, but just so we can see what's going on here right now. He jumps off the wall. He slides down the wall, but at the end of it, he kind of has this sort of jump up in the air, and I think I know what's causing that. So let's go ahead, and that is down here in our movement. You know, we have this else. You know, he goes to the left, he goes to the right, or he just stops. And that's what's causing that. We're not holding down the key, so he just stops. So just for testing things out, I'm just going to comment this out. I believe I spoke about this before. If you put a forward slash and a star at one end of something and a forward slash and a star at the other end of something, it will comment out everything in between. So let's just take that out a second. And it's going to change things, though. We're going to have a little bit of friction. Let's go to our player script right here. Here's our linear drag right here. And it's at 0, so probably when I hit things, he's going to slide a little bit now. See, he slides a little bit. So we'll get to that in a second. So now, when I hit, and I'm against the wall, and I just hit the space bar, he jumps, and he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that skip upwards. Because you should just be able to hit your button, hit jump, he goes all the way, and hit jump again. Just like so. But he does have that slide, and if you want, and this is why we put, you know, some of these variables down here, and we have some of these things up here. We can play with this a little. Let's say I want to create just a, let's say 0.5. Let's see how that works out. So now he's got a little less drag. If I probably increase it to 1, he'll stop a little better. However, there's a sacrifice to this because he's going to have less movement left to right, and that's where you're going to want to play with your jump a little bit. And also, if we look at this way, we can go ahead and we can like climb straight up a wall too. So we've set things up to where we can play with different things and make adjustments as we go along. But I think for all intents and purposes, we have some pretty good functionality here. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and support me on Patreon. All links are in the description below. And a special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. See you next time.